Greatest video game moment ever. Now that's a question that's thrown around a lot. Maybe not a lot, but that question has been asked at least once in the past history of video games. Now you probably think I'm gonna pick a game like Resident Evil or Silent Hill or even more recently the Slender game genre. Now, those games are awesome. I mean, I love scary games. Most recently, I just played through Silent Hill 3, and that's a great game, and it's terrifying. But none of those adventure experiences in those games even come close to what I personally feel is the most terrifying moment I've ever experienced while playing a video game. What game does that come from, you might ask? Well, let's go back to a time in 1993 when this little gem was released for the Sega Genesis. That's right, guys. McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure. Now wait, you might be thinking, Max, what the shit is this? After all, this game here was made just so kids would go eat McDonald's. I mean, it's subliminal marketing slash blatant advertising at its finest. I'll admit, the only reason I even picked this up from Blockbuster after all was A, I love me some McDonald's, I love me some chicken nuggets, and B, look at how colorful it is. I mean, come on, it looks cool, you know, you got a cool adventure scene with a cool little snake, whatever. Side note, remember when Blockbuster games used to have this on it? That was memories, man, memories. That doesn't relate to what I'm talking about, though. Underneath this happy facade lays the most twisted, diabolical evil I've ever witnessed. Let's give a little background first. Now, this game came out during a time when mascot-driven platformers were all the craze. When I went to Blockbuster to rent a game or to KB Toys to buy a game, I typically went for those more well-known characters, like more noticeable mascots from TV commercials, you know? And my mom didn't want me playing those cool violent games, so I kinda have to settle. There were games like Chester Cheeto, he had his own game. That's pretty nasty looking. Do you remember Domino's Pizza had a mascot? Well, I didn't until I actually played this game. Yo Noid. Pretty cool game, actually. Again, disgusting cart. These aren't mine. I got these used. And then my favorite, the coolest, most random one is Bubba and Sticks. Bubblicious. Yeah, apparently they tried to have a cool action mascot thing. That light is just really annoying. Back to Treasure Land Adventure though. This game was made by Treasure. Now for those who don't know, Treasure is a Japanese game publisher, developer. It's a game company in Japan. This was actually their first game published, technically, but most people remember them from Gunstar Heroes. The best way to describe it is that Treasure in the early 90s was like how Rare was during the Nintendo 64 era. This one, not this one. Whatever game you saw their logo on, you were pretty much guaranteed a really good experience, and this is no different. So in Treasure Land, you know what? No. We're gonna call this game TLA, because that's just a lot easier and more fun to say. This game's all about Ronald McDonald trying to find the treasure, because one day he's just walking around in this magical forest and he's like, well, bang, check it out, I found a piece of a treasure map. And then it's only one piece, so he has to find the other pieces, because apparently one piece of the treasure map leads to the next piece, because that's really, just thinking about that now, I just realized how crazy that sounds. Oh well. Made sense to me back in the day. I gotta give Treasure credit here. Treasure, the company, not this game. This is TLA, remember? TLA. They took a standard platformer, which is a game where you just go from point A to point B, and they threw in some cool, like, RPG-esque elements. Like, there's a store you can go to and get power-ups. Cool, you can get some health, there's some balloons to help you. Yeah, you see, he gets out of the pit there. There's also a Tetris minigame. While the music's awesome, oh god, it was so difficult. So enough about the logistics of the game. Now let's get down to the actual topic at hand here. Why this seemingly happy game scared the crap out of me when I was younger. And still kinda to this day. Now the thing about this game is that the levels themselves, they're pretty inviting. I mean, look, it's very colorful, and the music itself is very catchy. Where the real terror lies, though, is within the enemies. And we have enemies like this, and like this, and like this. Especially this guy. But they don't even come close to one of the bosses. Luckily, there are only 4 bosses in this game. And as it turns out, the last boss and level is the least intimidating of it all. The game ends with you on the moon in this alien spacecraft fighting this little green alien. Because, of course, the alien would have the treasure. Honestly, look at this little dude. He just likes going in and out of doors. I mean, I feel kind of bad for hurting him. You see the little little ray thing coming out of his mouth? Yeah, you gotta walk by that, and then he sucks away one of your life things, jewels. And then when he's munching on that jewel, you gotta tap him with the sparkles. That's how you kill the bosses in this game. Pretty simple. I mean, this game is not that hard, I'll admit. You just keep wailing on him with your sparkle attack until the world starts exploding, and then you see his dead corpse there just chilling. Yeah, that's kinda messed up. So before you get to the moon, you're on a pirate ship. You gotta have a pirate in a game about treasure, right? So let's call this guy Captain Jack Oddjob. Now, his whole deal is that he has this cool little conveyor belt captain's chamber, go with it, and then he throws his hat at you. When he throws his hat at you, though, you notice he's just 2 eyeballs and a mouth. Legitly terrifying. He's also really difficult, probably the hardest part of the game. But same concept, you know, he's gonna zap you with his jewel ray, and then he's gonna eat your jewel, and then you gotta zap him with sparkles. This is so bizarre. In order to get to this pirate ship / tropical island area, you have to travel through the city. Now to get to the city, you gotta go by train. This is no ordinary train, this is a circus train. Because why not? We already have 1 clown in the game, why not add in a ton more? There's also tigers. While you're on the train, you travel through this tunnel, which kind of creeped me out. I mean, between the whole, you know, loud blaring train, and then the low overhang and the darkness, the impending darkness, and these dancing ballerinas, and alright, well, it's just kind of off-putting. This whole part just kind of left me a little uneasy. Now, once you crash the train, you end up in the city at this construction site, and then you climb the skyscraper, which really has some awful scaffolding. I mean, it shifts like this. Thank you, Mr. Fat Sumo Dude. At the top of the scaffolding / building, you fight your second boss of the game. This dude's honestly not much. He's in this kind of intimidating robot guy where you have to grab his armpits or hands, whatever you want to think of that as, and then shoot him when he eats your jewels. Remember how I said the last boss was at least intimidating? Well, the same could be said for the levels too. Now, while you're on the moon and that's kind of freaky, that doesn't even come close to what the first level is. All these levels seem pretty cutesy and carefree, right? Let's take a trip back to the beginning of the game, right when Ronald picks up that dreadful treasure map piece. The game starts off where you're just walking along in the woods / this forest area. You know, you're walking along, mind your own business. Jump up this platform, slide down the rope, climb this tree. Oh, shit. Okay, so this is where it starts getting kind of freaky. As you can see, this tree that you're climbing inside of now is trying to kill you when it just turned to night all of a sudden. And there are ghosts, because why not? You keep climbing the tree, then you gotta go through some rapids. Oh yeah, that terrifying green snake, he's that happy green snake that's on the cover. They look nothing alike, right? Past all this nonsense, you land in a geyser. Now given that you're in the land of Tla, why not just jump in it? Come on, you're on a McDonald's, you got some magic powers. Once you Team Rocket off the screen, you land in front of this mounting rock formation that starts to move. That's totally normal, don't worry about it. Because you're on a McDonald's, and I guess this little shred of treasure map told you to go in there, why not go take a look? It's just a cave that just pops out of nowhere. You're right, it's not just a cave, it's a dragon's mouth. At this point, your whole life's gone to shit. You're in a dragon's mouth, the music's freaky as hell, dragons in dragons. You think that's water? No, that's stomach acid. And oh yeah, giant ass fish coming to kill you. Maybe my friend the Hamburglar can come help, but no. He won't. He'll just steal some of my life. That's cool, man, don't even worry about it. Thanks, bro! At this point, what else can possibly go wrong? Confession time. The first time I played this, when I got to this point, I ran screaming from the living room. I got the hell out of there, and I ran to get my dad, and he just starts laughing at me. I mean, it is really embarrassing. Come on, man. I mean, look, they got these big-ass pillars, pitch black room, atmosphere, and then the dude just drops out, he's like, surprise! He's kind of a perv. I mean, check out his tongue when he's trying to get your jewels. We're gonna name this guy, too, to take down his scare factor. Pervy Pumpkin Paul. Personally, I think he's a pumpkin. I mean, you look at the pillar tops, looks like a pumpkin. He looks orange. I'm very colorblind, so that might be red, so you might think he's a tomato. But I would like to think he's a pumpkin. After all, if you look back into my psyche of my younger self too, I was terrified of that little orange, like, claymation blob with lips from Sesame Street. Yeah, that's another time I ran screaming from the living room. At this point in my life, nothing freaked me out to that degree. Just for whatever reason, I wasn't scared by much. Up until this point, like this very moment, just scared the shit out of me. I don't know what it is, but I have to give credit where credit is due. Even if Treasure here was not trying to make a terrifying game or terrifying villain, he made this seemingly innocent game scare the shit out of me. I applaud you guys. Good job making a solid game. Now, I'm glad I did actually conquer my fears and beat the living crap out of this guy. To this day is one of my favorite Genesis games, and honestly, one of my favorite games of all time. Probably because of this terrifying experience, but hey, I still go back and play it sometimes. I'm gonna tell my kids about it. Maybe you should do the same. Play it, I mean. You can tell your kids about it if you want, but it's a fun game regardless. Maybe one day in the future, a game will come along that'll scare me even more. But until then, Tla will hold that crown. Oh yeah, about that treasure you were trying to find through this whole game that took you to the moon? It's a chest on Mr. Green Alien Door Dude's spaceship that sends you back to Earth. So really, the lesson that we can take away from this game is that the journey is always better than the destination. Or in this case, just live life to the fullest. I don't know, you can interpret it as you will. All I know now is that I am jonesing hardcore for some chicken nuggets, so I'm gonna go do that, and I'll catch you guys later. Until next time.